You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Showers, the high at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into a Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. Phone number is always 205-342-9904 if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. The X account's at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson 1. And the email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download that app, that Tide 100.9 app, to your smartphone. And you can take us with you anywhere you go. We want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. As always, they make the 7 o'clock hour possible. They do it for us each and every day. So always remember, when you're going to build the fence, the deck, the pergola, or the 5-star backyard, then the only choice is Yellowwood. And go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. Big weekend this weekend with Alabama taking on LSU. The injury report came out. LSU had a ton of guys on there. Alabama has stayed pretty much, other than Hale, who got hurt before the season, injury-free. Chase and Dad. Only 2 guys on the report now. Sab is on there, and then Cole Adams, the receiver and punt returner. But I don't know that either one. I mean, Sab obviously is a big loss, but Cole Adams, you can put Ryan Williams back to the return punts and things, and so Alabama pretty much has stayed healthy, which is
it'll be a tough
good.
game. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying they've stayed healthy. It'll be a very tough game going down to Baton Rouge, especially at night. Let me check the weather here and see what it's going to be doing in Baton Rouge.
Barry, I talked to you earlier. I do have the scores I can do for us if we need to.
Okay, go ahead.
Last night in basketball, we had 3 SEC teams win. No, it was a 2 or 3 point game with Alabama and with UAB and Vermont. And you don't compare scores, but Auburn last night, folks, beat Vermont 94-43. And I'm trying to compare scores particularly, but maybe I'll just show you how good Auburn is. And Arkansas beat Lipscomb 76-60, and LSU won 95-60 over UL Monroe. I didn't know for sure what I was going to be on or not, and I got it worked out, and so I've studied the blue plate, and we'll try to give that sometime today, sometime towards the end of the show, make you listen to hear it. And but really, that's about all I have.
I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw this. It was announced yesterday that Sonny Smith retired from Auburn radio. So they're going to.
Yeah, I got a call last night. They're doing a book on Sunday, and he wanted me to do a chapter, I guess, and so I had 2 or 3 stories that he kind of halfway told them, and so Sonny is of course a great friend. And Lou Vickery is doing a book on him, and he called me last night. Sometimes I can't think of things that were funny until I get off. I have to get through talking to him, and I remember stuff. So I didn't see that. I saw something about Sonny, but I was in such a hurry to get to the hospital. I didn't really read it. But it said he's retiring from this game.
Yeah, he's retiring. Randall Dickey will be take over as full-time color out. They will honor Sonny on December the 8th. I have to go back and look, see who they're...
December the 8th? I need to go down there for that. The 8th?
Yeah, they'll be honoring him on December the 8th for all he's done for Auburn basketball. There's a nice article on him that Auburn put out yesterday. He has several quotes in there. So I was headed back last night and had the radio on. He wasn't doing it, and then when I got back home, I checked the news, and he said that he was.
Well, it's a lot better when he doesn't do it.
Yeah,
That's what I tell him. He and I have punched each other over the years. Started back when we did that radio show together back years ago. We kind of punched each other, and people like us punching each other more than really telling what the truth is.
Yeah, so Auburn, Chad Baker Mazzaro, the first half I was listening, he was the leading scorer. I remember I had mentioned him to Bill Cameron. Bill Cameron acted like he wasn't even going to start, but he did start and played well. And I think Auburn, Vermont beating UAB was probably the worst thing that could happen for Vermont when they had to take on Auburn, because they had Auburn. Obviously, Auburn's going to be ready to play first game of the year, but Auburn absolutely steamrolled them. I did watch a little bit of the Arkansas-Lipscomb game, and Lipscomb got that thing back to about 2 there pretty late in the second. Now, Arkansas, John Calipari, his teams, they just stand around on offense. I don't know what they're trying to do. They just stand around, pass the ball, and go one-on-one. So the announcers were talking about all the NBA players they have, and I think they do have a lot of talent, but I'm not that impressed with John Calipari. He's a great recruiter, X and O wise. Yeah, he's just all right. I get to the Yellowwood hotline. We'll bring Cowboy into the show. Good morning, Cowboy.
How you doing, Barry and Coach?
Good. How you, buddy?
Good morning, Cowboy.
All right. Hey.
You're early this morning. No, you're not.
I know. I said, well, hey, let me get on there before Philip gets there, because we'll have some good talk. And I beat him, I guess.
He beat him.
Folks, do you ever go to any practices around Southeast and observe for some coaches maybe still know, and help them break down something? I remember when you coached at Alabama, you used to have coaches sitting in the stands kind of watching. Joe Dean Jr. was always down there watching your practices, and I hope he's doing well these days.
Yeah, he's had a real struggle. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned
that's what I heard.
I haven't gone to many. I occasionally. I've had some sickness in the family, and this past year and last year too, and I haven't been as much as I'd like to go. But I don't try to coach anybody else's team. They call me and ask me what I did on zone. Tennessee did what I did on defense. I tell them, but I don't really try to go in there and try to tell anybody what to do much.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, like, in today's game, if you were coaching, what style you would have? Would you be kind of like Kevin Sampson is at Houston, or would you?
I would change. Yeah, I would. I tell you what I would do. That's a good question. I would play the way Loyola Marymount played against me, and that is they practiced running the basketball the way they should run it. And they had lanes to run, and they played that way. If I had it to do over, I would play like that. I would really go down the floor every time and try to get an easy basket.
That'd be wild to see your teams doing that, Coach. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, that's what I would do. I think I would do a lot of that. So I think that's big.
That's awesome. Well, good to know. I appreciate it. Hey, you got that blue plate special going yet?
Well, I've got one that I looked at, and Barry and I had talked early this morning, and I told Barry I wasn't sure whether I was going to be on today or not. I happened to get here in time. Traffic wasn't as bad, so I've got one that I'm going to study a minute while Barry's talking, or we have a break. I'll give it between 8 and 9. I've got one I think is okay, but I got to study a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you get enough time to study it. I know Barry likes to talk. He'll give you some time.
Yeah, well, Barry can tell you anything you want to know.
What you want to know, Cowboy? You said I like to talk.
Barry,
I'm a whippersnapper. I'm a whippersnapper, according to Tom.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Your team played the game yet?
Monday. We got we play this. This is one thing I don't like about high school basketball. Football playoffs are tomorrow. High school basketball season can start tonight. So a lot of these teams probably hadn't even practiced because a lot of them have football players. Smaller schools, but the bigger schools haven't. But so you can play up to 30 games. A lot of people try to get in. I don't even know if I'm going to get in 30. But next week I play Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday coming up. So just a lot of you trying to cram.
Could you send me a schedule, Barry?
Yeah. So you try to cram that. But anyway, we open up on Monday. Some teams will open up tonight, but high school football is still, first round's tomorrow. So it just overlaps so bad. There's got to be a way to get a little bit of distance in there where football's over and these guys can get. I'm fortunate I don't have but a couple guys that play football, but a lot of people, half their teams playing football. So it's literally like when football's over, it's like 2 practices and let's play. And that's not fair to the coaches or the kids, to be honest.
Well, with that schedule, Barry, you better have a good bus driver.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're that's worse than a single A baseball team.
Yeah, I know. But you got to get them in.
I think I've heard you say that John Cohen and everything. Wonder how he likes the Auburn athletic job now that he's somewhat 2 years entrenched in it and everything. I saw where he brought his right-hand guy from Mississippi State over there that was the AD at Georgia Southern. Or he's coming. Just wondering what you've heard or where do you think?
I haven't heard. Obviously, he would never let anything out publicly that he didn't enjoy it or anything like that. I'm sure he's working as hard as he can to. I think basketball's in good shape, and they're hoping baseball. I think the women's basketball program's a little bit better. They got to get football fixed. They got the great new practice facility and offices and all that other. So things are in place, but I think the people are willing to help out with the NIL and all that. They just got to hold on this recruiting class and keep the guys they got and try to get some hope for the future. But I guess he hired Hugh Freeze. So if you hire them, you usually will back them until the bitter end.
I was always interested to me that he gave up a illustrious baseball coaching career to be an administrator. I always kind of thought maybe he was a baseball guy, but I guess his father was a law school professor, so he had that administrativeness in his blood, I guess.
Yeah.
We have had him on, John Cohen, and he happened to come to a lot of my games because he lived in Tuscaloosa. I didn't even realize it, but that was lucky enough to get him on. He's not going to tell it. Getting him on won't help because he's not going to tell it the way he doesn't want to tell anyway. So, but he's been on. He's the only AD that we really had on the show, and he's been very nice to be on for us.
Oh, that's great. Well, Coach and Barry, it's good talking to you guys. Have a good week. Week turned out better so far than I thought it was going to be at times. But hey, keep plugging.
Thank you, Cowboy. Thanks, sir. All right. We'll get to break here. 2 Minute Truck. If you're looking to make a local move out of town, out of state, these are your guys. They'll do a terrific job for you. They'll take the stress out of a stressful situation because moving is stressful, and they will take great care of you and your stuff. Very professional. 205-247-5050. Give them a call today. Let them know if it's a local, out of town, out of state, or you just need 2 guys to come help you around the house. Once again, 205-247-5050. That's 2 Men in a Truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa Thread.
Good morning. This is Mary Kay from the Town Square Media Newsroom. And the Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit is investigating an incident that happened on Highway 69 South yesterday, where 2 businesses and a vehicle were struck with gunfire. The Tuscaloosa Police Department has confirmed there were no injuries. And the Alabama Secretary of State's office reported a statewide voter turnout of 58.52% for Tuesday's election. Legislation establishing early voting in Alabama is possible this coming legislative
Tide
season.
100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, moving with a purpose on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets on this thrilling Thursday morning. And if you are traveling inside the construction zones, you don't really even have to worry about that. Greensboro Avenue southbound to 26th Street. You have that road work in West Tuscaloosa. Also, a continuous
American cheese, cheese sauce, bacon or sausage, all rolled up into one warm tortilla. Want the boss of breakfast burritos? Gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Every kickoff, every 777, every pocket ace. Bovada.lv gets you ready for every way you want to play. Hourly jackpots, anonymous poker events, boosted sports odds. Join today and get up to $750 in bonuses. See for yourself why players have chosen us as their online casino for over 10 years. Your best bet every day you want to play. Bovada.lv. Ready for everything.
You'll get our free lifetime powertrain warranty. Every in-stock Rogue, Altima, Murano, Titan, Frontier, Pathfinder will be discounted for immediate sale. See BJ or Kylan today.
The best place for your high school football coverage is right here on Tide 100.9 and online on Tide100.9.com.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Guys, when we just went through this election and social media and Facebook and all the different things, all the stuff that's put on there, and some people put things on there that are true, and some people just lie on there. Well, Kalen DeBoer had his radio show, and I've been seeing on Facebook somebody that has this Alabama news site's been trying to tell everybody that his wife is pregnant. And so I didn't believe it because, it just didn't look right. So last night, Pee Wee called and congratulated Coach on his wife being pregnant. Coach is 50. Not she can't have I don't know how old his wife is, but it's obviously, he said, and Smiley said, he would have known people thought that'd be better getting text messages of people congratulating him, but his wife is not pregnant. So
isn't that ridiculous?
I just really think
that's ridiculous.
If people put stuff on there that's not true, there ought to be some kind of fine or penalty or some way to punish them for doing stuff like that. That's just ridiculous that people.
Oh, it is ridiculous. There ought to be. You're exactly 100,000% right. That to put something on there like that is a very, very personal and ridiculous and lying thing. It's on there all the time. The people want you to read stuff. They want you to read their article. They get you to the edge and then try to get you to read. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and to put something. So I don't know what can be done. But we got to clean that kind of stuff up. There's just too much stuff out there, and people have access now to put. And you don't have time to go through to figure out what's true and what's not true. That didn't look true. Somebody had texted me last week about it. I said, no, that's not true. And of course, I didn't know 100% whether it was or it wasn't. But he obviously just kind of smiled and shut that down last night. But it's
they go through.
Just annoying that people put stuff on there like that. And now all the stuff that you read there. But anyway, his first segment, he talked about the bye week and said you got to make sure you use the right way. And he thinks his guys did. He said he has coached in Tiger Stadium one time as an assistant at Eastern Michigan. But they have had a speaker on the practice field, Dad, for 2 weeks. He said it has been blaring to try to help the offense. He said probably a couple of these offensive guys have lost their hearing over it. I think being able to control that crowd, try to keep them maybe a little bit out of the game. I think Roman Harper said you do that by running the football and getting first downs. That's going to be a big key in the game, in my opinion, is to keep the crowd out of it as much as possible. The way to do that is to keep the football.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else, Barry. I think you will agree to this, and I'm not knocking officials. I think in basketball that the crowd can a little bit have an influence on the official. I really don't think in football that happens, though. I know that's not part of what you're talking about, but the crowd is. But I don't think the crowd really has much influence at all on the officials in football like it does in basketball. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say, but they miss like a pass interference call or something. I think they're more apt to give you a close one. I don't think the officiating has been very good in the SEC. I don't know what they got to do about it. They just miss way too many calls. And when I
think Barry, I think there's always a discretion or a disagreement on what pass interference is.
Yeah,
and I'm not a guy that's capable of getting on here and talking about it. But I think that's the problem. We're seeing one thing one time and something else the other, and as fans, we don't really know exactly what pass interference is.
Yeah, they asked Kalen DeBoer about LSU. He said, I see a team that has great athletes, offensively and defensively, very explosive, well coached. They've been through the fire home and away. So they have been in some close games. Obviously, going to South Carolina was one they had to gut out. They had that Ole Miss game where they literally did not lead until I think the last, when they scored the touchdown at the end, they did lead that particular game. So they've been in some wars. Alabama's been in some. You know, when Nick Saban would get up on a Monday and he would get in front of that podium, he always gave me a calming feel that this team was going to be ready to play. He would talk about the opponent and he would have a message there. I'm not saying Alabama's not. I just don't get the same feel. I don't think these guys handle the media maybe the same way as Coach did. There's not as much of a comfort when they talk to you as it was with Coach Saban. Do you feel the same way?
A little bit, yeah, I do. I'm a little. I feel like you're kind of correct. It's. I know it's going to be a tough game, but it seems like with these guys, but we got it's a little bit of a but in there. I think the approach is different. I think what Coach said last night, Coach DeBoer said in the press conference, whenever he had it, was that Coach kept his distance, but was there to help him, and that he had been through other times where the head coach had been gone. And he said some interesting things. I think he appreciates Coach Saban. I think he thinks that Coach Saban knows and thinks some things that he doesn't say. That they're doing or not doing, but he doesn't say it.
I think Coach was good at, and I'm sure Kalen DeBoer does this, but he does it behind closed doors. Coach Saban was good, and I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. He was good when he got out, when he talked to media. He was going to give you the message that he wanted to go to his team for the week, what the message was and what they were going to concentrate on. Coach is just more of a generic press conference. Coach would get out. There were things that he wanted to get out, and he made sure that they didn't ask the question. He got it out. I think when Cecil Hurt and those guys were around, he would have them ask those particular questions of the message that he wanted to get out. So,
you're right, 100% correct on that. The press conference was sort of planned.
Yeah, and I think these are more just generic press conference. We're going to do this press conference just because we have to do it. He's very cordial about it, but they don't give you a ton. Coach had a clear message that he wanted to deliver that he would get up and give. Just two different ways of doing it. And, of course, as much as Nick won, or Coach Saban won, I want to call him Nick, then you kind of bought into that. We're still trying to get adjusted to the new Alabama football. We'll see what happens as they go over there. I'm nervous for Alabama this weekend over there in Baton Rouge. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go in there and steamroll them. They've always played well in Baton Rouge. It's been a place where Alabama has done extremely well. Hopefully it'll happen again. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get JC in. We'll fly around the SEC with JC. Listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, moving with a purpose on the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets on this thrilling Thursday morning. And if you are traveling inside the construction zones, you don't really even have to worry about that. Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. You have that road work in West Tuscaloosa. Also, continuing on Skyland Boulevard.
Over 1,900 pre-lit memory wire branches that keep their shape so it's ready right out of the box. Find the perfect tree now at the Home Depot.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather unseasonably warm today. A mix of sun and clouds. The chance of a few scattered showers through tonight. The high today 81. Tonight's low 65. Tomorrow, partially sunny. Again, the chance of scattered showers. The high at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Fight song, but that is the South Carolina Gamecocks. I've heard that fight song numerous times, and we'll get right up to the pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Going to be at the 5-star backyard. You want to use Yellowwood. We'll get to the Yellowwood hotline. He's the owner of thebigspurt.com. Several different podcasts he has throughout the week. Joins us every Thursday. JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, JC. Good morning. Good to be with you guys today from the glorious South, actually. I'm down in Nashville, Tennessee. I got a meeting I got to go to, and then I'm going to catch the game this weekend here at Vanderbilt.
Oh, nice.
Got in late last night, and so good to be joining y'all from God's country.
Yeah, that's a great spot.
Tell us just quickly the feeling of the South Carolina coaching staff. I know it's great. That's the reason I ask it. And the fans' support of that South Carolina football.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's winning sort of helps. I mean, but yeah, South Carolina fans have been through kind of a lot, a rough patch, not just, after Coach Spurrier left and Coach Muschamp came in, and Will did a lot of good things. I mean, don't get me wrong, and kind of kept the program from spiraling worse than it was maybe before Lou Holtz got there with recruiting and stuff like that, but didn't win a whole lot. At the same time, Clemson ends up becoming a surprise national power under Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
So just any kind of win like that, big wins really help, I think, any program. Because you remember those more than you remember just the games you're supposed to win that you win. And getting out of there with a top 10 win, that's Shane Beamer's third top 10 win at South Carolina in a little bit over 3 years and 3 years. By comparison, James Franklin, who when I lived here in Nashville took the Penn State job, that was 11 years ago. He only has 3 top 10 wins his entire time at Penn State.
Yeah.
So,
well,
that's good.
They're now picking on to beat Vanderbilt.
Those help recruiting. Well, I think, Vanderbilt's one of those teams that they're a lot like A&M in the sense that they're hard to beat. I mean, they don't beat themselves. They have a unique style of play, obviously. What I think helps the Gamecocks is Carolina's speed on defense. Because, in other words, if you don't have speed on defense and you make a mistake against these guys, they'll execute and it's a touchdown. Whereas against a fast defense, they run that option play, quarterback cuts it up, maybe a guy takes a half of a false step. He has the speed to recover and limit the damage. I think you saw that a little bit against Auburn last week with Auburn's defense. So that's an advantage, but it's South Carolina football, guys. SEC football in 2024, and you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. But, I think the Gamecocks, right now, 2 wins in a row over Oklahoma and A&M. They're kind of playing their best ball. And, I don't know that Vanderbilt necessarily is right now. Vanderbilt had an off week in 6 weeks, so that means something these days. So who knows? I would pick Carolina too, but with the caveat that you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, if I were a quarterback, I wouldn't be wanting to run against South Carolina. South Carolina will hit you, JC. I mean, they will hit you hard. Yeah. So, as I look at South Carolina's schedule, and I know we always say this, they really could have and should have beat LSU and really could have and should have beat Alabama. They really should be sitting here 7-1 and probably in the playoff conversation, to be quite honest with you. If they can win this weekend, they got Missouri, Wofford. That Clemson game should have been for the playoffs if really what happened. So Shane Beamer's done a heck of a job there with the team, especially coming back from that Old Dominion game. They looked so mediocre in that particular game, but man, they've done a good job there with that program.
I think that, and I think you got players on that team. You got to kind of reload every year these days with the portal and stuff. But there's enough young guys, the quarterback, the defensive end. You got Sellers, you got Stewart, you got a couple of good young defensive backs on that team. Really good young wide receivers, good young running back. I mean, you got enough to kind of build around after this year too. So I think Carolina, and they're continuing to recruit. I think Carolina's got a pretty bright future. I think, sometimes when you can get past that third or fourth year at a place, that's when it really starts to get going when you're building. So I think that's there's light at the end of the tunnel for sure. Yeah.
All right. Alabama, LSU. Probably the loser's out. The winner's not guaranteed, but in good shape if they can win out. You've seen LSU up close. They won a very hard-fought game in Columbia. Just your thoughts about this game, how you see it going?
Guys, because the team, they've been off, so they're not fresh in my mind. Last time we saw Bama, the defense played really, really well. But LSU, to me, probably has the best offense in the league. There haven't been too many times they've been shut down. Even Ole Miss, I think, has a really good defense that shut them down. But, it's down there. Alabama's going to have to run the football. They're going to have to play well, play turnover free. But if you look at the history of this series, guys, taking the Saban era sort of out of it, I guess, since that was something unique, Bama historically has done really well in Baton Rouge. Yeah. So I would. It just kind of feels more like a Bama victory, though. I'll say that by saying, LSU has the best offense in the league. Certainly is at home. And I'll say this: take the what's the over under? Y'all know
58.5.
I'd take the over. I think that game's going. There's no way it won't be in the 30s. Because I just think. Well, I think LSU's passing game is going to take advantage of Bama's gambling defense, and I think that they're going to get the ball downfield. They're kind of tricky, and then I think Bama. This LSU defense has done a great job plugging and playing and getting along, but it's still, as we saw against A&M, very susceptible to running quarterbacks and things of that nature. Jalen Milroe probably have a field day.
Yeah, those numbers are so big, over under, and I hear you, it's 50% chance of rain. The problem to get to those numbers is that clock never stops running, JC. These games go by so fast. The clock doesn't stop much.
Yeah, and what's crazy, Barry, scoring, you wouldn't believe this. I think defenses are better this year. And but scoring's up.
Yeah.
Go figure. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I think one of the big games, the reason Alabama is where they are is the Georgia win. Yeah. And I think all Alabama fans be pulling for Ole Miss. No, they want to beat if Ole Miss to beat Georgia. I don't know what to be pulling for, but anyway, Alabama. The Georgia Ole Miss game. Tell me who wins it. I'm confused. Is Ole Miss has the capabilities of gambling on fourth down, and Georgia is not quite the Georgia team they have been. The quarterback is not quite as good as he has been. tell our listeners and tell me what you think.
The sneak. All right. So at the beginning of the year, we'd all gone, "Hey, watch out! You know, we're going to see this Georgia defense against this powerful Ole Miss offense." Now, look out for the Ole Miss defense forcing turnovers at home against Carson Beck, who, frankly, had the yips a little bit this year. So that's I look for the Ole Miss defense to be a big factor in this football game. But at the same time, Georgia, they kind of have that resolve on the road. So, and Ole Miss is, I don't want to say laid an egg in situations this year, but there's been some surprises. So I don't know. It's a great opportunity for Ole Miss to get back in the conversation. But I think if I'm Alabama, I'm pulling for Georgia.
Oh yeah,
because you got that win over them. Yeah. You know, and the committee obviously is sitting there. I didn't think they did a good job. That's another conversation. They're sitting there rating these wins pretty highly and stuff. So I would kind of actually swallow it and move my loyalties to Georgia for the weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think Alabama, you need Georgia to win to keep that. And that just eliminate Ole Miss, get them out of
it. Yeah, you want Ole Miss out.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is out when they lose. Right. So
yeah. Well, tell us about the committee and that first ranking. What were your thoughts about it, Jason?
I don't know what the heck they were doing. To be honest, I've been harping on this all year, and then I heard the chair do an interview, and I was a little encouraged. I'm back to being discouraged. They're ranking bad football, or not bad football teams, but football teams that would get blown away on a neutral field, on their field, on a home field, by some of these teams in the SEC higher than the SEC teams. It's ridiculous. I don't even know what they're watching. If they're watching the sport, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like some of these people that are upset about the election, and then you ask them why, and they just parrot like the lies that the media told the whole time, like disproven lies. I mean, this team's really good because they did this. This is what, and you're like, no, this is. Have you watched them? Josh Pate had something really good about it. So I thought it was terrible. I thought maybe they got the top four sort of right. And I know they got a hard job, but if we're going to pick the playoff like this, it's going to end up being one bracket. One side of the bracket is going to be the SEC, and the winner will play whoever else for the Super Bowl or whatever, because there's no way this conference can tolerate this based on beating everybody. Everybody beats everybody up, but then they're going to sit there and say this one-loss team from the Big 12 is better than a 2 or 3 loss team from the SEC. One of these things is not like the other. It's common sense. I don't understand why college football can't be determined that way, but it's not. But I thought it was absolutely atrociously ridiculous. And maybe they don't need to look at the poll.
I mean, I know you're probably not looking at the poll. Give me an example. Like you got Iowa State's down there at 17, Ole Miss 16, LSU 15, A&M 14, SMU is 13. Where do you think they made a mistake?
Do we think SMU is better than Texas A&M?
No.
Why is Clemson in the poll? And I'm not being a Carolina guy here. Well, why is Missouri? You want to go by the eyeball test. Why is Missouri in the poll? I mean, BYU is undefeated, but who have they really played?
Yeah, I guess Clemson's 23, so I don't see them ever.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just, why is Oregon? Oregon's number one. They're undefeated, but have they really gone through what Georgia's gone through this year? No.
Yeah,
so I just, you're going to give them a 1 point win over Ohio State, and then overrank the Boise State win because that's exactly what they had, and then Georgia loses a 7-point game at Bama at night early in the year, beats Texas. I mean, and here's the thing. In the SEC, too, we're probably to blame for it because they're not sitting there saying, oh, they beat Florida, that's a hard win. But it is. They're not sitting there saying, well, Bama beat South Carolina by 2 points. They're actually probably using that as negative. But that's a hard win.
Yeah.
I mean, Vanderbilt's a hard win. I mean, they're all hard. unless it's Mississippi State, and you can look at State's roster and say, they're not a very good football team, and it's been proven out. I mean, it's just really tough. It's tough for me to swallow. I don't know. I guess I was hoping to see something that was not as closely aligned with like the media polls. Maybe I was hoping to see something a little bit radical. I don't know. Maybe my expectations were off, but I just didn't think I didn't think it was a good job at all. And after seeing that and thinking about it, I mean, I don't know that we don't need to go to, something where, like I said, you guys have y'all's side and we'll have ours. We'll play it off over here, and then we'll see you down the road, because it's unequal. And I'll say it's not about money. I'll say the same thing about the Big Ten. You get past the top three. I mean, who are they really playing?
The thing you may have with these unbalanced schedules, a team get into the championship game that really doesn't deserve it because they had an unbalanced schedule, then they win it, and then they get one of the top 4 seeds. There's nothing you can do about that. But I think that, if Clemson somehow were to maneuver their way into the ACC championship game, and the only way they'd get in would be to win it, and they won it, and then they were number 4 or whatever, that would knock somebody out. But I guess that's just the system we got, JC.
Well, yeah, and what you got to do in that situation is say, okay, well, SMU lost to BYU and then Clemson. They don't deserve to be in. I mean, over an SEC team with even 3 losses. I mean, Miami, if they don't, if they have 1 loss, they don't deserve to be in. You can't sit there and go, well, this team's 11-1. And like, they're not the same, So I don't know. Clemson actually does not. It's funny because they don't control their own destiny. A&M actually does to get to Atlanta. A&M went out, they're going to Atlanta. So the 2 teams that kind of surprisingly lost last week in the state of South Carolina, Clemson, because at SMU, if you look at their schedule, they don't really have a loss. Miami's not really trending toward having a loss either. So we're going to have the SMU Mustangs and Miami Hurricanes, and probably in Charlotte for the ACC championship.
It's probably a strange question. Do y'all think what happened in the election on Tuesday, to where it all laid out, will help maybe get the rules in college sports that we need as far as NIL and transfer portal and all those things? Will that help move that along now, JC?
I could see it just because of President Trump's kind of a sports guy, and I'm not saying that President Biden but I don't really think he had many thoughts on it, but that's the kind of subject I think if you're the incoming Trump administration and a new Congress, that's an easy win that's going to make people happy. You can kind of show some bipartisan cooperation on. So I think it makes it much more likely than if Harris had won, simply because with her and her group, who are increasingly out of touch with mainstream America, and I have no faith to do anything but throw a hard left labor movement type of thing and a victimization sort of policy at college sports, then there would be no compromise that could be had. So I think the chances are better than they were, but guys, I'm not counting on them for anything. I'm just hoping maybe this lawsuit holds and we can get on down the road with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know of anything else to ask in that. You don't keep up at all with South Carolina basketball, do you?
Oh yeah. I don't want to talk.
Losing their first game, did they have a real dip down from last year?
Nah, it was actually, they just didn't try. I mean, y'all saw Nick Pringle play last year. The effort was terrible. I mean, I guess this happens to teams sometimes. I mean, I guess Villanova lost to Columbia University the other night. I think they play these basketball games, especially the SEC, way too early. Nobody's really into it November 4th. That said, I have not seen a team that Lamont Paris has coached, even the first year, play with that. I mean, it's been a long time. Probably like the late Darren Horn era since I've seen an effort that bad, which was shocking. Yeah, they just didn't. Every loose ball, North Florida out-rebounded them. Every loose ball, North Florida got. North Florida's a good, scrappy team. And North Florida's thing is they play they shoot a lot of threes. If they'd have come in there and hit 70% from three and won the game, then you just hats off, you chalk it up. They didn't. They had about 30% and out-rebounded the Gamecocks, and it was a lackluster game. And here's the crazy thing about it. Normally there's about 15 people at these games in November for men's basketball. The students probably had 3,000-4,000 right there. They were loud. I mean, there was some enthusiasm there, and so they just got let down. They play Towson or South Carolina State or Towson State 1 tomorrow. It's all about effort, and maybe this happens these days in college sports. These guys, you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was effort, man. I couldn't believe it. There was, I mean, there's nothing. Somebody said, "Well, it's coaching," and I'm like, I mean, obviously they're coached to not just let a guy drive right by you to the basket free, aren't they? Coach, y'all coach basketball.
Normally, effort's not a problem your first game. So if it's a problem your first game, usually kids are excited. And now about game 5 when you're playing South Carolina State's effort could be a problem. But first game effort, woo.
Here's the problem, though. So you got these guys on social media now that have these connections. They had their first game in their secret scrimmage against NC State, and they won, and it got out. They beat them pretty good, so by about 15. Okay, so then they played an exhibition against Worcester College, and they beat the snot out of them. So, and then everybody's, oh yeah, good job. So the first real game, it's actually game 3.
I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah, and so it's actually kind of for those guys, because on Twitter all day they've been getting praise and because that secret scrimmage used to be secret, and so it's not though. You got a guy that gets all the scores and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, So I don't know, but hopefully they I think if they play with effort, I think they'll be better.
All right, JC, tell everybody where they can find you.
All right, download the Chief Sports app. We got a new JC and Morgan podcast out from this week, talking about all the playoff madness. We hope you download it. It's free, and then I'll be back here next Thursday.
Enjoy Nashville over the weekend. Great spot. Enjoy it, JC.
Thanks, y'all. I'll talk to you next Thursday.
Right, good luck to the Gamecocks. See you. All right, Gamecocks take on Vanderbilt. South Carolina currently a 3.5 point favorite, depending on which I guess casino you look at out in Vegas there. So they are favored. I think they'll beat, of course, when I say that, it won't happen, but I think they beat Vanderbilt. If I'm Diego Pavia or whatever his name is, South Carolina will pop you when you run. So you better run and get your butt down, get out of bounds. All right, we want to thank Yellowwood. Yeah.
I have to talk to the doctor for a minute and have him call me back in about 10 to 15 minutes.
That's fine.
I'll call him. All
right. We'll get to break here. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Coming up Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show, we are loaded. The coach, Ellis Johnson, breaks down SEC football. Orlando Ledbetter joins me for the Atlanta Falcons report. And my pal, Jeff Spiegel, sports anchor at ABC 3340, plus your phone calls and more. That's Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're moving with a purpose on the Tuscaloosa freeways. Side streets are also looking good for you right now. Now, you do have a few patchy spots from time to time with your rush to work. And we're in prime time now, so McFarland on both the east and westbound lanes between Watermelon and 43. You can expect to tap on those brakes pretty frequently, but not to a halt.
Storage solutions, project and warehouse management, arc flash studies, and more. Visit CED in Tuscaloosa, Coleman, and Decatur, and All Phase Electric Supply in Albertville and Huntsville.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather unseasonably warm today. A mix of sun and clouds. The chance of a few scattered showers through tonight. The high today 81. Tonight's low 65. Tomorrow partially sunny. Again, the chance of scattered showers. The high at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. We'll take this top of the hour break. Open up the phone lines. No guest in the second hour, so we appreciate your phone calls. You give us a call. What do you think about this big game this weekend with Alabama traveling to Baton Rouge? Will history repeat itself? Alabama normally plays well. Of course, the last time they were there, I guess LSU knocked Alabama off. They went for two there at the end. So that's kind of what happened the last time that Alabama went to Tennessee, as it turned a little bit there this series, where Alabama go over there and take care of business. Really, I think anything could happen. Honestly, would not be surprised. So I want to know your thoughts. 205-342-9904. We want to thank Yellowwood. They made this 7 o'clock hour possible. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NBA, back in action after taking Election Day off in some games of note, the Cavaliers beat the Pelicans in New Orleans 131-122. Cleveland is now the only remaining undefeated team in the NBA at 9-0 because the Thunder lost to the Nuggets in Denver 124-122. Oklahoma City dropping to 7-1 on the season with that loss. Nikola Jokic leading Denver with a triple-double, 23 points, 20 rebounds, and 16 assists. Warriors go on the road, knock off the defending champion Celtics in Boston 118-112. Golden State's now 7-1 on the season, 5-0 on the road. Boston suffers its first home loss and drops to 7-2 overall. Suns are 7-1. They beat the Heat 115-112. Kevin Durant 32 points. Phoenix has won 6 in a row and is 5-0 at home. Grizzlies over the
Download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Allstate Insurance Agent Andrew Kniffer. Andrew is my agent. Let him become yours out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Look for home, life, auto. You need renter's insurance. You need ATV, life, whatever you need, business insurance. Give him a call today, 205-722-9201. Do what I did, make the switch to Allstate Insurance with Andrew Kniffer. All right, get to the Allstate hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Barry. I was out last night and I was listening to WLW out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they had a couple of guys on talking about Big Ten football, and it was pretty interesting to listen to. They're a couple of teams they're completely down on. Michigan was one of them. They didn't have much hope for Michigan this year or next year, and they're kind of concerned about that program like Florida fans are. And they were talking about Indiana and talking about Coach Cignetti and the success he's having after having, success at James Madison and leaving there and then going to Indiana. And they said, how long is he going to be in Bloomington? And one of the guys said he's going to, I think he may take the Florida job. And the other guy talked about FSU. I don't think that's right. I don't think Florida's going to make the change. I think they'd be crazy right now to get rid of Napier. But one of the things that the guys talk about that, for this audience here with this show is they talked about DeBoer at Alabama. And if they called it the DeBoer experiment, that's the way they termed it. If it doesn't work out, would Cignetti be Alabama's next coach? Now, I know that's way premature stuff, but that's what they're talking about in other parts of the country.
Cignetti's just been there 1 year. Of course, he was at James Madison. He's been around, but I guess he's 63, which I don't know if that's
that's right.
Yeah, so if that's is that a negative? It's not a positive to be 63, but
I can speak from experience. It's not.
Yeah, so it's almost like that football player in the pros, but he has that one great year, and then all of a sudden you just give him that massive contract. And of course, for him, you got to strike while you're hot, and his agents, I'm sure, will float his name out there. And if Indiana, sometimes Indiana gets worried. It's like even when that Kentucky basketball job opened, now Nate Oates has done it a lot more than Cignetti, but Alabama didn't even want Nate Oates to entertain it. So, boom, they tore up a contract they had just had and got him a new one. So I think he'll use it to get a raise. I just can't see. First of all, Florida State just gave this guy a new contract. So they were on top of college football world last year. That quarterback got hurt. So I don't see either one of the Florida teams making a change. But although Florida has a very difficult schedule down the stretch, but if you keep just changing coaches every 2 and 3 years, there's no stability. I don't say you build a program that way. Tennessee did it for years, and I think they finally now feel like they hit with the right guy. But I don't know. Would you, if you were an athletic director, would you hire Cignetti off this one great season?
Not really. And if furthermore, Florida, I think it'd be a huge risk right now with the portal. Like, when you get rid of a coach, that portal opens up, and everything that Napier's built could be gone at that point.
Yeah.
And you got guys leaving the program because the coach quit. So I think that is a really serious question that athletic directors are looking at now, and they're not just reacting like they might have reacted 2 or 3 years ago when it comes to letting the coach go, because you could conceivably lose a whole bunch of players.
And I know Max talks about Lane Kiffin, and if he wins this game this weekend, I think they'll be excited there. If he loses it, will he think, man, I'm taking this program about as far as I can take it, so I need a change. I don't see Lane Kiffin leaving to go to Florida personally. I think his daughters are still there. That's one of the reasons why he didn't really consider that Auburn situation there. But I think it's a big game for him to maybe get that monkey off his back. I know you didn't ask this, but get this monkey off his back that he can win a big football game. It's supposed to be raining, I believe, over in Oxford this weekend, so that might favor Georgia with their power running game there, maybe. So just your thoughts about that game as well, Philip.
I'm picking Ole Miss to win that game. I work over here in LaGrange and around Georgia people every day, and have lived in this area all my life. I just think that Ole Miss, about what I know about the Ole Miss program and where they fought Alabama over the years, that's a tough place to play even if you don't have Kiffin. And if you got Kiffin, it's even tougher. I think Ole Miss is good enough to beat Georgia. I think they've got the offensive skill set that can give Georgia problems, a lot more problems than Florida did because of their passing game and his ability to call some pretty good plays. I like Ole Miss to win this game.
Does Alabama, do they need to worry about these other games, or not worry about them, but if they win out, they're probably in. So I don't know if they need help. I was looking at some of the games this weekend that might affect. BYU's at Utah, so there's a chance there that BYU could lose their first game. There's some other Boise State playing Nevada. That's probably not going to happen. Penn State's playing Washington. Penn State's, they're around 6 there. I don't know that Alabama needs help, do they, Phil? They just need to win, right? They need to win.
They better tend to their own knitting, man.
Yeah.
They better tend to their own knitting. And I just don't know what Alabama's mentality is like. I'll be honest with you. As much as I love DeBoer, I like him a lot. I like his style and all that. And I want him to succeed greatly. But I just don't know enough about their fabric right now and what they're made out of. I really don't, Barry. That's my only question. They just unraveled at Tennessee, and I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I talked about in the first hour. It's just two different styles. When Coach Saban had a press conference, you felt like that he would hit on the things that team was going to be ready to play on Saturday. Coach DeBoer has more of a generic press conference. I don't know what he's telling those kids behind the closed doors and on the practice field. I felt like you had a better feel for the mindset of the football team because Coach was going to lay it out there for you. And it's just to me, it's different. I don't know if you feel the same.
I do. I feel very much the same. Now, I kind of like the way he makes the press conferences not that big of a deal.
Yeah, true.
Coach Saban could get off on a topic, and the next thing you know, it's on Sports Illustrated, it's on Time Magazine's talking about it, CNN's, everybody's talking about it. But with DeBoer, it's just pretty much football stuff, and I kind of like that right now.
Yeah.
But I do hope Alabama can come out strong. And, you hear people say this a lot. I can tell in the first few minutes whether or not so-and-so is going to win. That's kind of the way I am with this team.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll play well. It's going to be some environment over there. They need Jalen Milroe to play well, to be quite honest with you. And we'll see how this defense plays. Nussmeier, good passer. See how the weather is. It's supposed to be hot over there. I think it's supposed to be like 83 for this game. So this weather is different for this time of year. I don't know when the cold weather's coming, but it's.
I pulled up the my weather app a minute ago. It's got it raining at 9:00 in Baton Rouge. 9:00 Saturday night.
Yeah, so we'll see. Thank you, Philip.
Yep.
As always, thanks, sir. All right, we'll go ahead and take this break here. We'll get back, open up the phone lines. We'll get Dad back on here in just a few minutes. We'll find out his Blue Plate special. And obviously that Blue Plate is brought to you by our good buddy Chuck Norwood. Chuck Norwood's down in the Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area. You're looking to buy or sell. The great investment down there. Everybody loves the beach down in Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area, so it's easy to buy a place and rent it, and he will know the best places for you, the best deals down there for you. So go to chucknorwood.com, serving the coast for over 33 years in experience. Counts 251-948-1212, and Chuck will be sponsoring this Blue Plate special when we get it out here before the end of the show. We won 2 of them last week, Chase, so a little bit of a hot streak here. Doug went back to being Doug last week as well, so he's got his picks in there. So give us a call. Do you think this Alabama getting -3? So LSU favored. That surprised you, Chase? LSU favored? I mean, I'm sorry, LSU underdog at home and at night in Baton Rouge. You're not on. I don't hear you.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially in Death Valley at night. They must know something we don't know. Because it's gonna be a weird game. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, but we'll see. All right, we'll take this break. That's a Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Getting a little more volume on the roadways right now. We're looking a little patchier, but it's still moving on McFarland, both east and westbound lanes between Watermelon and 43. 43 has got a line starting to really build up here on the southbound lanes to McFarland. As a matter of fact, brake lights are going to take you back to Cardinal Street.
Is the place to be. Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. The Good Feet Store is a proud supporter of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For over 25 years, The Good Feet Store has been helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Start your journey at goodfeet.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama defensive lineman James Smith.
Some good opportunities for you last year, but this year specifically, what do you think led to you getting on the field more?
Some people will say maturing, but it's just me understanding what I had to do and, like, some stuff I had to get better at and understanding, like, it wasn't my time last year. And this year just honing in on the little things and just doing everything right.
Who are some guys that really helped you, some veterans that helped you kind of learn the right things to do to make sure you could play?
I'd say Tim Keenan, Tim Smith, Jamarian Latham, just really all my older guys, like, just helped me, like, just, and not even that, just seeing them and knowing, like, they needed me this season, like just time to come on, just came to work, for real.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for the Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, the Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
If you missed last night's episode of Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, catch it on demand on the Alabama Insider Podcast. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. You can look at the new inventory, the pre-owned inventory. You can schedule a service. We talked yesterday with Justin about renting a Toyota. So you can rent a Toyota right there off of the website. If you want to swing by Skyline Boulevard, they got great deals over there. The 2025 Camrys ran a great option on all the trucks and all over there. And we talked about even getting that Christmas present there. You get that Christmas present, go over there and find out exactly what you want. They'll put that thing in the back for you. You'll have Christmas taken care of, Chase. So go to TuscaloosaToyota.com or swing by Skyline Boulevard and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. All right, get to the Tuscaloosa Toyota hotline and we'll bring Tony into the show. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, Barry, y'all doing okay this week?
Yeah, how you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, you asked Philip a question about, it's a good call, by the way, what Alabama needs. Do they need to be focused on the other thing? Man, in my opinion, just watching this team, Alabama needs to be focused on two things, LSU and then themselves. If they can play, Barry, if they can play complementary where the offense ain't jumping all sides, holding, defense ain't getting hands to the face mask penalties on key downs, third down and long, 3rd and 4, whatever, and keeping drives alive. Don't have 12 men on the field, multiple numbers, stuff like that. I think Alabama can win, but you are dead on. I'll say this. It took Jalen Milroe to play one of the worst games that any Alabama quarterback in recent memory has played against Tennessee for us to lose that game.
Yeah.
If he plays even close to that, they're going to get run out of the stadium, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I would say that team goes as good as Milroe goes, but I thought he played pretty well against Vanderbilt other than the tip pick six or whatever. But there's a statistical anomaly that no one thinks about in football. And Barry, it's true now. It's obviously, it's not every time, but it's 90. I think it's 90%. If you throw one pick six in a game, the stats are that 90% chance you lose that game. Now, there's obviously, exceptions to that rule. If you're up 38-0 in the fourth and you throw a pick six, you're not going to lose. But if you throw two pick sixes in a game, the rate goes up 99% that you're going to lose the game. So we got to stay away from the pick sixes. We got to stay away from the turnovers. And Barry, if Milroe, he is not a quarterback that's going to win a game throwing the ball 45 times. No. He's just not. They better use his legs. If they don't use his legs, and if he doesn't run hard, to me, I think everybody's on to something here. I'm starting to wonder if somebody got in his ear after that Georgia game saying, hey, they're talking about you being the number one pick overall or being top 5 quarterback taken. You might need to chill out on running and save your body. He's running, to me, he runs timid now. That's my opinion. And I can tell you with years of experience, I know a timid runner when I see him. When you can gain 5 yards and you trot out of bounds to get away from contact, that's you being timid. And that's if he will use his legs the way he can and run the ball the way he can, I think Alabama's got a great chance of winning, but he's got to be a true dual threat quarterback and not, in his mind, think he's a pocket passer. Because he ain't Tom Brady, he's never going to be. So,
I just hope that when you go to a place like Baton Rouge or Tennessee, something bad's probably going to happen early. All right, they're going to probably get a score. And I just don't, like, when that happened at Vanderbilt, I felt like we got down the first quarter and we just abandoned our whole game plan. I don't think you can panic early. You got a game plan, you're watching film, you know what you think is going to work. We've heard people like Roman Harper say you got to establish the run game. You got to keep the ball, keep the crowd out. If you get down a score, you get down 10-0, I don't think you can give up on that. Now, if it gets in the second half and you're down and you got to change your game plan, it just seems like to me maybe we panic a little bit early against Vanderbilt in some of these situations. I don't know if you see the same.
I do, and you bring up another great point. Y'all have an occasional guest on who I really admired. Is Houston Nutt.
Yeah.
And Barry, I used to tell all the people that I watched the games with, I went to a couple of those games at Alabama when he was at Arkansas. I said, guys, if y'all watch Houston Nutt coach, he doesn't throw his playbook. He doesn't throw his playbook out of the window. I witnessed Alabama get up on them 14 and 21 points twice in one game. And he had McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis, and they ran the football. And sure enough, it was almost going into overtime. Alabama had to beat them on the last couple of drives. But they were down. What I'm saying is they didn't panic. They played what they knew their strength was, and they kept it going. Again, it's very I've always been confused about this hurry up, no huddle, spread offense stuff. I understand why coaches do it, and I get it. But I have been in games, and I have coached in games where you can run the football, and it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, and you run an 8-yard play on a dive or what we would call an isolation play or even off tackle. At the end of that drive, and I think this happened to Alabama, next thing you know, it's 17 plays, and they score a touchdown, and you get to where you're looking, you say, man, we can't stop them. A good running game, Barry, is more demoralizing than a hurry-up, no-huddle scheme. Because like Coach Bryant said and Coach Stallings said it, when you throw the ball that many times and you put the ball in the air that many times, only one good thing's happen out of all the 3 other options. One. Now, nobody listening to this is going to go to Vegas and put their mortgage on the line with a possibility of 3 things going wrong and you may hit on one good one. It's a gamble is what he's saying. And the more you put up the throws, the more you're going to have incompletion, sacks, and turnovers. It's just a fact. Alabama's got to be balanced. They got to run the football, and we've got the studs to do it. We've got the offensive line to do it. And you're right, Barry. Against Vanderbilt, we abandoned it. We just went away from it. And I think we went away from it against Tennessee. The opening third quarter, first drive, we drive it right down the midfield. On 4th and 2, we decide not to go for it, throw a pass. And that's the last time we saw us run the ball like that. That's period. That's just truth.
Is Garrett Nussmeier, is he the best passer in the SEC?
Yes. He's the best passer we'll see all year, in my opinion. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that we won't get pressure on him, and he will stand back there and pick us apart.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned. I'm not concerned about the run game. I'm concerned about the passing game.
Yeah, we'll see how the weather holds up. It's supposed to be hot and 50% chance of rain. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be. I guess they have natural grass there in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, they do. I'm fairly certain. I wonder if it's going to be pretty slick.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, maybe. Well, if he has to play with a wet football, that may be taken into consideration too. But they have dadgum 70 footballs on the sideline now, so none of them should be wet. But
That's right.
Anyway, Barry, what's Arkansas State bring tomorrow night?
I think they were actually picked to win the Sun Belt. So obviously,
a bunch of threes.
Yeah, they're going to shoot. They're going to play the same way Alabama plays with Brian Hodgson, who a longtime assistant for NATO's up at Buffalo. He brought him here. So they're going to play fast and probably shoot a lot of threes. Alabama's size just bothers. I think it's going to bother a lot of these teams, especially these mid-major teams. Just can't get guys with that kind of length, and these guys are tall but athletic as well. So should be up and down game. I think you won't need a shot clock in this game for sure, Tony.
Well, before I go, what did y'all think of Auburn last night? And is that a decent win for them? Is Vermont any good, or what can you take out of that?
Well, Vermont beat UAB at UAB on Tuesday night. So, I think Vermont is. I think it got their attention. It's just hard to win at Auburn. Of course, they absolutely annihilated them. So Auburn looks to be really good. They're athletic. They got some big guys as well, some young guards. So should be a great year for the in-state schools in basketball.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good rest of the week. Coach, looking forward to your blue plate.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. I'm putting my mortgage on it. All right, see you.
Yeah, he's hot. All right, let's talk about Bryant Bank, and then we'll get back. We'll look at some of the games and get that blue plate special out.
Well, I think when you want to go to a bank, you want somebody that kind of knows you, that you feel good about putting your money at their place, whether it be a business or personal account or both. And that's what Bryant Bank affords you. You go in there, you'll know the banker. The banker will know you. You can get 2 accounts. You can do whatever you need to do. The other thing that you'll know is that Bryant Bank is going to take care of your money. They're going to be darn sure that your money stays where it stays and you get what you need when you need it. I think that's pretty important. I've been with Bryant Bank now for a long time. They're kind of below my house, but you can bank online with them. However you want to do that, that's easy to do. So I would go by Bryant Bank and tell them that you heard Barry and I talk about it on Inside the Locker Room, and that you want to open up an account. It'd help us. I think it'll help you too.
All right, we'll get to break here. About the phone line, maybe squeeze in another call or two. 205-342-9904. Also, the Blue Plate Special brought to you by Chuck Norwood and the Remax team down in Orange Beach and Gulf Shores. This is Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Getting a little more volume on the roadways right now. We're looking a little patchier, but it's still moving on McFarland, both east and westbound lanes between Watermelon and 43. 43 has got a line starting to really build up here on the southbound lanes to McFarland. As a matter of fact, brake lights are going to take you back to Cardinal Street.
Your fast free quote today. Call 800-281-1240. That's 800-281-1240. 800-281-1240.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather unseasonably warm today. A mix of sun and clouds. The chance of a few scattered showers through tonight. The high today 81. Tonight's low 65. Tomorrow partially sunny. Again, the chance of scattered showers. The high at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern Woods brought to you this 7 and 8 o'clock hour. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then you don't want it. All right, we'll look at some of the games this weekend. We talked to JC about it. He feels pretty good about South Carolina, I think. But, Dad, I know you're looking for a blue plate special where you hit Tulane, and then you took Indiana on Saturday, and they down 10-0. They went on a 47-0 run, so they covered that. I don't even know what the line was, 9 or whatever. Where have you looked, and where did you end up going this week?
Well, I looked at several of them, of course, and trying to find an SEC one because people are interested in that, and I couldn't find one I was real comfortable with. 21.5 points for Florida against Texas, and just wasn't sure. And I looked back at Indiana. I like that one. It was 15 against Michigan. At Michigan's 5-4, and not playing great. And Indiana's at home. To me, that's pretty. I didn't take it, but that's a 15. I didn't know. I thought, is that game at Indiana or Michigan, son?
The game.
Indiana.
It's at Indiana, yeah.
Yeah. So that would probably have been a pretty good one. I ended up taking Army in North Texas. Army is undefeated. They score a lot of points. North Texas is not bad. And this is a gamble. That's what guessing is, a gamble. It's 6. North Texas gets 6, and they're playing at home. So that's the gamble part of it. But I took Army in that game, and I couldn't decide which one of those two to take, Michigan or Indiana or Army or North Texas, and I took Army. So I think Michigan.
All right. So Army, Chase, just so you know, Army minus 5.5. They're playing North Texas. That game's in Denton, Texas. So it's on the road. ESPN 2:30 game there. So that will be the blue plate for this week. So all right, Chase will get that out. We're at 6-5, trying to climb to 7-5. There's a few games tonight. If you want to watch football tonight, you got App State taking on Coastal Carolina. Florida Atlantic will take on East Carolina tonight. East Carolina with an interim coach there, and they're trying to figure out who's going to coach there next year. Then on Friday, you got Cal taking on Wake Forest. Iowa takes on UCLA. Rice and Memphis, New Mexico, and San Diego State there. So your thoughts about...
I looked at that Rice game, Barry, but, anytime you change coaches, you fire the coach in the middle of the year and bring on somebody else, it scares me that they're going to play real hard for the new coach.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason I step away from those kind of things. I guess that's kind of stupid, but I always think, they change coaches right in the middle of the year. People get all mad the coach couldn't get them to win. And the players don't play, and everybody's talking and bitching about everything. And then when you get a new guy in there, they play harder.
Yeah.
So, but I stayed away from it.
Yeah. Do you think wins this Ole Miss game?
I think it'd be hard for me to go against Georgia, even though they played poorly, because I think they prepare so well. They have not played real well, though, and it is what you would call a gamble. I would say Georgia in a close one, but that's just a guess. Who do you say, Ole Miss?
Well, I'm needing Georgia to win, just for other reasons.
I did it.
Other reason. And my guy, he keeps he said Phillip buried him because he picked Ole Miss to win, so he was not happy about that. I think Jason thinks like who we pick win like really factors into these games. Florida and Texas. I thought Billy Napier did a good job. He's injured. The line is 21.5. If he gets blown out over there, does that hurt him as far as keeping that Florida job? Does he need to go over there?
I think the Georgia game saved him. I think the Georgia people that have the money will be with the athletic director and feeling like that it's what you're saying, the quarterback hadn't gotten hurt, Leeway, whatever his name is, that they would have won the game or been a little bit closer. It was closer than indicated. I think that might have saved him. I don't know that, but I think it might have.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the Yellowwood Hotline, whose guy I always loved to pick some games. Go all the way to Gordo and get Abe in. What's up, Abe?
Hey, morning, coaches. Who did Wimp go with on his blue plate?
Well, you don't even listen, do you?
He just did it. He took Army minus 5.5 versus North Texas. So.
Oh, I think that's slam dunk. Army's been great to you, Coach.
Slam ain't nothing ever is a slam dunk.
Well, I tell you who I'm gonna pick. Georgia's been good to me. They was good to me against Texas. What's the Georgia Ole Miss line?
Georgia Ole Miss line is 2.5. Georgia minus 2.5.
Okay, well I'm going with Kirby. I'm going with Georgia. I just think they're gonna put Jackson Dart on his backside, and it helps Alabama. It gets Ole Miss out of the way. I think it helps Alabama, but so I'm going with Georgia on mine.
Lane Kiffin was offended that game day is going to Baton Rouge. First of all, he thinks their game's a bigger game, and it might be. Georgia is 3, Ole Miss 16, Alabama 11, LSU 15, and he's also frustrated that they gave LSU a night game and they haven't given him a night game over there. Does he have a gripe, guys? Should game day be in Oxford? And do they always take care of LSU and not take care of Ole Miss by giving them a night game? Ole Miss has not had a night home game this year.
Well, I will say this: LSU brings more excitement and a greater home field advantage. Pageantry, whatever you want to call it. Vaught Hemingway ain't the same thing as Death Valley, is it, Barry?
I don't know now. That little grove up there, that's where Roman Harper they're going to be. That thing's going to be popping over there this weekend in Oxford.
Well, I tell you fellas what, we got a lot going on here at Alabama. We got the football game Saturday, basketball Friday. I tell you what we got today, there's an inter-squad game your listeners might be interested in hearing. I think the first pitch is at 3:15, the baseball team, red versus gray. And then baseball has a doubleheader Saturday against Clemson.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, that's it for baseball until next spring. And I'm going to tell you something. Let me ask y'all this. Is the NIL separate for baseball, basketball, and football, or is the NIL collective just one big pot that you can reach your hand in if you're the basketball coach?
That's the AD's call.
Now, there's some people that may give to it and earmark it and say, I want this going to baseball. That can be done, or they can they can just have the whatever it's called on the victory. That's Auburn's. I'm not sure what Alabama's is called now. It's changed so many times, but they can earmark it to a particular sport, or they can just give in there and then let the athletic director and the coaches kind of decide. I guess more the athletic director and decide kind of where that money goes. So hopefully that baseball will get some, because I know their opponents are as far as Tennessee. I know Auburn has a lot. LSU has a lot. Texas A&M, Texas. So these teams are pouring it out there to these kids in baseball.
Well, Coach, I think you got a smart pick with Army. And I tell you what, Coach, what's the use in being smart if you can't show everybody how smart you are with your blue plate, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I hope I'm right. It's hard to find one.
I'm telling you, they're getting hard. Like some of these weeks, you look at the games and one stands out. Like you're thinking, hey, the odds makers made a mistake, right? And you just know it. But man, the last couple of weeks is hard to pick these things.
Do y'all think Vegas wants to give the money away? They want to make it hard. They ain't gonna give it away. They gotta make you earn it. They're gonna make you earn it. It wasn't hard last week. Indiana won 47-10. The line was like 9.
Who's Indiana got this week?
They play Michigan.
That's a pretty good bet there. They're at home.
14.
Mm.
What you think about that one,
bad
Abe?
right there. Now, Abe, that ain't bad right there.
It's at Bloomington, right?
Yeah.
You might.
And Indiana got a shot in the arm when their starting quarterback came back, didn't they?
Well, you better get your load of that now.
They're not thinking much of Michigan's offense because the line's 49.5, and Indiana's going to score some points. So.
Michigan's one of them teams that I think once they get down a couple of touchdowns, I just don't see them. They don't have the effort they've been having. So I think the Hoosiers. I like them on that one, Coach.
Who's Gordo got tomorrow, Abe?
Gordo plays Rogers High School, whoever that is. It's first round of the playoffs.
Let me say this: Rogers High School is T.M. Rogers, probably in
they're up at North Alabama.
Where I'm from.
Rogers.
Is that on the other side of the Tennessee River up in there, right?
Yeah, but if it's T.M. Rogers, I used to play against him when I was playing. Yeah, I got some property up there.
Yeah, Rogers gonna come down here.
Well, what are they? Are they a mean bunch? Big, stout?
I don't have any idea.
Let me just say this to you, Abe. Get ready for the second round. If you're going,
so go ahead and buy the second round tickets early, huh?
Go on to GoFan, get your second round ticket. You're gonna be playing.
All right. Man, you fellas have a good weekend. Enjoy. Let me tell you this. My mom found out I was on the radio some, and you know what her favorite part of y'all's show is?
What's that?
She loves it when y'all got a guest on and Barry talks to the guy, and then when she gets ready for Wimp to talk, Barry will say, Dad. She says that's her favorite part. She loves it when you call.
That's the only time he's nice. That's the only time he's nice to me. He gets tired.
Well, that's the way my mom is. That's the way my mom is nice to everybody but me, and I guess I'm the only one she can pick on. So that's just the way it goes, Coach.
All right, Abe. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks, Abe.
All right. We'll take the break here, open up the phone lines for a couple more phone calls, and then we'll slide out of the way and let Gary Harris have the hot seat. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Coming up Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show, we are loaded. The coach, Ellis Johnson, breaks down SEC football. D. Orlando Ledbetter joins me for the Atlanta Falcons report. And my pal, Jeff Spiegel, sports anchor at ABC 3340. Plus your phone calls and more. That's Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Getting a little more volume on the roadways right now. We're looking a little patchier, but it's still moving on McFarland, both east and westbound lanes between Watermelon and 43. 43 has got a line starting to really build up here on the southbound lanes to McFarland. As a matter of fact, brake lights are going to take you back to Cardinal Street.
This weekend, Fridays at the Free, every Friday during football season with Tide 100.9 and Innisfree Irish Pub, located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Back to Inside the Locker Room. Get right up here to the Yellowwood hotline and bring Digger in. Good morning, Digger.
Hey, Digger.
Yo. Yeah, well, I don't know if you want to be playing around with the Texas-Florida game.
I didn't. Well, I didn't play around with it. 21.5 points. I didn't play with that. I didn't gamble. No. Do you think that's enough points for Florida to get?
Huh?
Is that enough points for Florida 21.5 to win that?
Oh, I don't know what it is, but listen, it's enticing. They just kind of come off of a big game with Georgia, and their quarterback's out, their receivers out. All of that's enticing, but you're forgetting one thing. We still don't have a handle on the officials here. We don't know what to expect from them. Okay? We're letting people sack us on a regular basis, okay, because they don't know how to actually hold. Okay? They don't know how to block. So I'm not blaming the officials. We got to get a feel for them so we can get a taste of what they're looking for. And I'm telling
so you're calling this show to tell Barry and I, you're telling Barry and I that it's not the way y'all block, it's the officials screwing y'all.
Well, I don't know, man. Come on. I think that I wouldn't, and I'm being serious, if it's called evenly, if we both have 10 penalties for 100 yards, fine, I get it. Okay, when it's lopsided, like, last year when we played Oklahoma State, it was 14 penalties for Texas and 0 for them. That's the problem. Here, I don't see it here in the SEC, but the problem is that we just can't figure out what the hell they want.
Dude, y'all have the easiest schedule in the SEC.
Hey, you wait till you go to A&M. You wait till you go to A&M.
Hasn't it?
Y'all played Michigan, who's terrible. You played Texas, San Antonio, Monroe, Mississippi State, the worst team in the SEC. Oklahoma, the second to the worst SEC team.
Yeah.
You played one good team in Georgia, lost. You played Vanderbilt and eked that out. You got Florida, Arkansas, and Kentucky coming up before you fit. That's the easiest schedule in the country, Digger.
It is. Not the easiest schedule in the country.
It's pretty easy.
I get it. It's easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you don't got any qualms about it from me. I guarantee you. We're still looking for that first top 25 victory.
Well, you haven't played anybody in the top 20. You haven't even played anybody in the top 30.
Michigan was in the top 10 at the time. Well, guess what? The wheels have fallen off.
Oh, my bad. You played Colorado State, too. I left them out. You beat them 52-0.
They weren't ranked, were they?
No, they weren't ranked. I'm just saying, y'all got, and then next year the schedule's just going to flip, and you're going to have another easy schedule again next year in the SEC.
Oh, man. Come on.
Come on. True.
Seriously, it's going to be like that for you guys. You'll get LSU and Tennessee at home next year. That's what y'all had it last year.
You have to go to Georgia.
Oh, my goodness, Georgia. That's right. Real quick, I want to talk about the playoffs. You know what they're doing? You know why it doesn't make sense with Penn State, Texas, and Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at it, and they're going to see who has the worst loss. Doesn't matter what they've done on the win record at all. They're looking at the worst loss. Okay? So when you lose to Georgia and you're number 2 in the nation at the time, okay, they're going to say that's a good loss. Same thing for Penn State and Tennessee. Well, the problem with Tennessee, and this is why they're behind Texas and Penn State, they lost to Arkansas on the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a bad loss. If you have a bad loss, they're going to punish you for it. So think about it. And then you got Georgia, who lost to Alabama.
Is that a bad loss?
They're in the top 25. And so, yeah. Promise you, it's going to all shake out.
There we go.
It really will.
It usually settles itself pretty much, so shouldn't be a problem. Thank you, Digger.
Later.
Thanks, Digger.
All right, that's it for today's show. We'll get out of here and we'll make way for the guru, the Gary Harris Show. Gary's got, what's my man's name at South Carolina, Gary? Ellis Johnson. He stole that guest from us, Chase, about 4 years ago. He just went right in and took Ellis from us. So we'll look forward to hearing from Ellis Johnson and the Gary Harris Show next. And Gary also, does Gary do his picks today or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. All right, I'm going to have to go to the bank. Get ready for Gary's picks. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.